Hello everyone. As many of you know, I usually start these videos with a first-hand account story of someone who has experienced the disease or been affected by the topic I'm covering. However, I don't have one of those for you today. The disease I'm covering is too new and there are too few cases, and I have been unable to find a good first-hand account. So with that, my name is Dr. Jeremy, the Everyday Epidemiologist. Today, we're talking about something that most people haven't heard about as it hasn't made the rounds through the news yet. However, I have a source who wishes to remain anonymous who has shared the following information with me. And here's what they told me. Back in early January, a NASA astronaut experienced a medical event that required the crew to be brought back to Earth early. Now, they have not publicly said what this was other than it was a serious medical condition and they wanted to get the affected individual down to the ground so that they could get them into modern imaging machines. And there really hasn't been much more information beyond that. So we don't know the full reason he had to be brought back. But here's what I've been told. Astronaut Mike Fink apparently started showing symptoms of an unusual disease. His first symptoms, as with many diseases, was a pounding headache that focused behind the eyes. Now, this wasn't a constant headache and would come and go over time. These headaches were frequently associated with what is described as star signs. This is where he would see sparkles or flashes, especially when looking at bright light. After a day or two, he started getting a low-grade but constant fever of a bit over 100 Fahrenheit or about 37.8 degrees Celsius. At that time, he also became unable to speak. There wasn't much change in his symptoms until January 15th, after the astronauts were returned to Earth. At this time, he recovered his ability to speak, but started experiencing severe vertigo. Mike would describe it as he felt weightless, similar to what it was like on the International Space Station. Immediately upon his arrival, he was hospitalized. That night, he began to have unusually vivid dreams and nightmares. After a couple of weeks, all of his symptoms resolved and he fully recovered. And that's the end of the story, right? Wrong. My source has informed me that at least 250 more people have since shown the same or similar symptoms. With all of these people, additional information about the dreams have been documented. These dream sequences include being trapped in a small confined metal box, floating in a vast cold void, or falling so fast that you would catch on fire and burn up. There are a few variations of these, but most report similar dreams to these three. Additionally, at least half a dozen people have fallen into a coma. But so far, luckily, there have not been any deaths. And that's all that my source was able to tell me about the symptoms of this disease. All of the people affected are those who had direct contact with astronaut Fink, or those who had contact with those people. This disease has not spread very far yet, thank goodness. But speaking of spreading far, the doctors and scientists dealing with this outbreak do not know how this disease is being transmitted. They don't know if it's airborne, bloodborne, spread through droplets like coughing or sneezing, or through some other method. The doctors have taken all sorts of precautions to prevent becoming contaminated, including wearing respirators, wearing gloves, water-resistant bodysuits, even wearing full biosafety 4 positive pressure air-fed bodysuits. They've also been washing their hands very well and taking showers in ethanol solutions. Nothing seems to stop it. It appears that if someone has close contact with someone with the disease, there is a chance of catching it, regardless of what you do. Now, not everyone seems to become infected. It only seems to affect about half the people that are exposed. There has been no trend identified to figure out how or why some people get the disease and some people don't. We just don't know. There are lots of scientists and epidemiologists still working to figure this out. So with all that, what the heck is causing this disease? The short answer is they don't know. After several attempts, they were finally able to isolate what they believe is causing the disease. Now, This pathogen is a very odd one, and they are having difficulty learning about it. But I'll share what is known at this point. They know it is very simple. There is a lipid bilayer membrane like any cell and any virus. There are several proteins in this membrane, like most viruses and most cells in general, similar to what is pictured here. Now, this picture is not of this specific organism, it's just an example of a lipid bilayer with proteins. There is no nucleus or any other organelle in the cell. This makes it more similar to a bacteria or a virus than it does to the type of cell in animals, plants, and fungi. It is also very small, larger than most viruses that we know of, but a good deal smaller than most bacterial cells. It falls somewhere between the flu virus and the bacteria on this picture. According to my source, they have named this organism Australis caelus. Australis caelus has several characteristics that are, well, for lack of a better term, strange. First of all, the proteins in this cell do not match what we have identified to date. But this is where it gets really strange. There have been well over 500 amino acids or protein building blocks that have been found in nature. However, all organisms that we know of use just 20 amino acids to build their proteins. That's it. Just 20 out of more than 500. The odd thing here is there were over 60 amino acids in these proteins, only 3 of which are used by all life that we know of. From there, they tried to do some genetic sequencing. This helps to identify species that we can't identify any other way. This is where the second strange characteristic comes in. Every time they try to sequence it, it fails. The laboratorians are unable to even do polymerase chain reaction to amplify any DNA or RNA that may be present. Just nothing happens. My source says there are 2 possibilities that could cause this that they're discussing. 1, the structure of the DNA or RNA is different than anything else we know about. Perhaps the nucleotides that are making up are different, similar to the way the proteins are different. Or 2, there is no DNA or RNA present. They are currently trying other methods of detecting any DNA or RNA that might be present without amplification to determine which of these is the case. But as of my most recent communication with my source, these procedures have not been completed. But there's one thing that they suspect based on all of this. This form of life does not appear to be similar to any form of life on Earth that we know of. Now, I do want to make clear that my source does not claim that this thing is life not of Earth. But it is one of the possibilities being discussed due to all of these oddities. The scientists, doctors, and epidemiologists involved in this are working hard to try to understand what exactly is causing this disease and how to stop its spread. I'm sure there will be some information coming out eventually, but for now they seem to be trying to keep it quiet so they don't scare people unnecessarily. As more information comes out, or as I get more information from my source, I will keep you all informed. With that, I want to thank you all for being here today, and I want to wish you all a happy April Fool's Day. That's right, this is an April Fool's gag. It is true that astronaut Mike Fink did experience a medical emergency on the ISS where he suddenly fell sick and lost his ability to speak temporarily. The doctors are still unsure what exactly caused this issue, but they are working to try to figure it out. The name I gave the pathogen in this video is based on that space theme. Australis is derived from astral, meaning related to stars, and caelus is Latin meaning sky or heavens. If you found this video interesting, be sure to subscribe here on YouTube so you don't miss any of my future content, and follow me over on Bluesky where I share public health news, real news, and information between episodes. You can find the link to my Bluesky in the description. Stay healthy, stay happy, and remember, public health is for the good of everybody. I'll see you next time.